with this is I can get it in places you just can't get a lot of other ways. Shorter rod. Swimjig is this is a bait that's like four-wheel drive. You can see I'm going down the bank. There's hey, Mike Pehanich with SmallWatersFishing with Kevin VanDam, and Kevin, swim's been the operative term these days.
Yeah, you know, one of the big things for me is, you know, I've learned that a swim jig is super effective. You know, it's not just for shallow grass and heavy cover. You can throw it around anything. You know, I throw it around boat docks, bushes, grass, even just down rocky banks. I catch a lot of smallmouths with it even. You know, what a swim jig is really good at is giving you a good profile of a natural looking forage species, so it really works well in even clear water lakes. So, you know, up north for smallmouth and things, you know, I throw a bluegill colored swim jig like this an awful lot, and day in, day out, it's hard to beat that Rage Craw on there. That Rage Craw has so much action that, you know, no matter if you're swimming it fast or slow, it's gonna create a lot of disturbance in the water, and it moves a lot of water. So if the water's a little bit dirty, you know, that tail right there is going to displace a lot of water and help the fish find it through vibration. If the water's a little cleaner, it has so much eye appeal, you know, that they're really going to see it. A lot of times, though, I've found, especially in these clear water situations, you know, where I live in Michigan and up north and that something subtler is going to get you more hookups. Okay, I'll get a lot of bites with a swim jig no matter what I do, but they'll bite one pincher off. You know, that Rage Craw has a real wide stance, makes the swim jig have a much bigger profile. So to tone that down, you got to do two things, and these are my two other favorite trailers. This is a Rage Menace Grub, so it has that same rage action, so that tail really flaps, has a lot of vibration to it, but it's narrower profile. And then, you know, for the clearest water is I'm just going to use a little swimming Caffeine shad. And, you know, instead of having this whole 4-inch body on there, a lot of times I'll cut it down, you know, so, you know, you might take a 1/2 inch off or whatever, so it shortens up that whole profile of it. You know, I can trim the skirt on the jig. The clearer the water, the smaller the profile that you generally want. So, you know, that swimming Caffeine shad tail on there kicking like that, this imitates a bluegill real well. And the great thing about a swim jig is if you're going along and swimming it down the bank, fishing it like you would a spinnerbait or something like that, and you come up to a thick bush you want to drop it in, or a hole in the grass, or a, you know, spot in the lily pads, you can drop it in there and fish it like a traditional jig too. So it's a great tool. You can cover a lot of water with it. Tremendous fish catcher. And again, you don't need a bunch of different colors. I basically throw bluegill, shad, and then black and blue. You know, I mean, if the water's dirty, a dark color like black and blue is hard to beat. If they're on brim, things like that, it's hard to beat that, you know, that bluegill colored swim jig. Match it with something similar in your trailer and you're good to go. With this is I can get it in places you just can't get a lot of other ways. Right? Shorter rod. What I love about a swim jig is this is a bait that's like 4-wheel drive. You can see I'm going down the bank.